What is up, y'all? Nuie here. So I'm gonna be talking about another couple of one of my builds, another one of my builds that I'm working on today. So I wanted to use the new support skill jump summon Phantasm support. So I wanted to tie in a skill like that and get it to work with a tree, and essentially use that as a heavy damage source, and see just how strong that support gem actually is by itself. So, the way the gem works is that it essentially, every time you use your skill, to kill something, you use a skill that's attached to it to kill something, then it has a chance of summoning a phantasm on the kill. Now, when I was using it, because I was using it a little bit while I was leveling up, one of my wanders in early levels, before I actually had any support gems for the wander, it seemed to be able to summon the support very often. Like, it's about a 56% chance, so it's one in every other mob, but it seems like if you kill a pack that you actually get a lot more of them summoned. You actually have a pretty heavy chance of getting a lot of them summoned, and then they stick around for a pretty decent amount of time, and they do pretty decent amount of damage. I'm not saying they were like shredding anything, but they were pretty interesting with the amount of damage they were doing. So I wanted to see just how strong I could get them. Now, I spent a lot of time bouncing through channels trying to figure out how to really boost their damage and how to really get them stronger. But the only thing I could really figure out that really augments their strength is minion damage. That's it. They don't get augmented by spell damage. They don't get augmented by increases the global physical damage or anything like that. It's really just minion damage that increases their strength. So I had to come up with a way to tie in a lot of minion damage while still giving me enough damage on my main attack that I can still kill things. So I can get them out and summoned quickly enough. So this is going to be my first ever Necromancer. I've never used a Necromancer build because I just really didn't like the playstyle. I didn't like being so heavily reliant on other things. I like being more focused on myself and my gameplay than just being able to let something just kill everything for me. So this is my first kind of time doing that, and this gives me a good way to kind of blend my playstyle into a Necromancer type of playstyle, because it's still heavily reliant on you to do a lot of damage, but then you have a lot of support with you from the Summon Phantasm, so they'll also do a bunch of damage behind you. So a lot of your damage is going to have to come from it's still reliant on you as damage. So the way this works though is I ended up tying in Unearthed, which is a spell that summons corpses. It's also an attack that pierces through enemies, and basically what Unearthed does is it pierces through enemies and summons a bunch of corpses behind that enemy. So this is a good skill for Necromancers because it allows me to get my offerings off pretty much permanently just from spamming it, because I'll be able to just pop my offering and then keep spamming this, and I'll keep having an infinite amount of corpses to be able to summon that. And then as I kill things with my minions, or with my Unearthed, then my Unearthed will also spawn me a whole bunch of these Phantasms. So the Phantasms will come in and continue doing a lot of damage for me. Now, from what I was working with, I tried to see what you can actually support Phantasm with, and apparently you can support them with different things like GMP and LMP and stuff like that. So it's actually pretty nice being able to work with that. So I was able to give them, I put volley on them because that gives them a lot of area clear. And gives them a lot of extra damage and stuff like that. There's very few bosses in PoE that don't include ads or anything like that, so it's actually incredibly easy to get a whole bunch of these ads. So it really came down to being able to keep them alive, as well as increasing the duration that they're out there. So yeah, that's all the things I tried to think about when I came into creating this build. So when I start out with the skill tree, I started out with just spell damage and headed up to Occultist Domain because, again, Unearthed is a spell. It does physical attack. It does physical damage, but it is a spell, unlike like a Wander, which would typically be like another physical attack damage type of thing. It actually does spell damage, and it is a spell. It just scales physical damage. So I made sure to grab a lot of spell damage in this build. So I headed up to Occultist Domain. I wanted the increased attack speed. I wanted the spell damage from that. I grabbed these life nodes from Heart and Soul, and then I also grabbed Lord of the Dead. Lord of the Dead again is giving us that 15% increase minion damage. And then I took this part of the tree because I wanted the other 15% increased minion damage, so that's 30% from there. And this actually goes to boosting our damage as well because of the uniques we'll be using, but I'll get to that in a minute. I headed up and made sure to grab instability as well as this portion of instability because I wanted to ensure that I get the extra spell damage per power charge. I then headed this way and grabbed Cold Preparation for increased life as well as the Elemental Resist, and headed up and grabbed the extra minion damage up here. I did not grab the extra attack speed and cast speed. It's not going to be necessary in this build. I also grabbed the extra energy shield and stuff and the extra lightning res from Unnatural Calm. As far as this side over here, I made sure to grab Arcane Focus as well as this extra node, giving me extra 8%. And then I actually also grabbed all this energy shield just for extra defenses. This is not going to be one of those builds with either CI or life. It's both of them, so I made sure to grab a diversity mix of both life and energy shield in this build. So then I came down to the Templar portion of the tree and grabbed Retribution for the increased spell damage. I also wanted the attack speed and strength and intelligence from that. I made sure to grab Discipline and Training for the extra life from there, as well as Sanctity for the increased life regen, as well as some extra energy shield. I grabbed Light of Divinity and all its incorporated nodes because I wanted the extra spell damage, as well as cast speed, as well as the increase in light radius. I made sure to grab Overcharge, as well as Faith and Steel for extra elemental resist, as well as extra energy shield. I then headed down towards the Scion Wheel, which is where a large amount of my skill points were actually invested. Because I wanted to grab all of this. I wanted to grab Grave Pacts, and I made sure to come up this side because it's important that we grab the minion damage, as well as this is where I grabbed some minion attack and cast speed. So, and then I also grabbed more minion damage. Now, the increase to skeletons is not particularly important to me because I don't rely on skeletons in this build. It's still reliant on Unearthed as my main damage source, and then my minions will be my secondary damage source. As far as I can tell, neither zombies or skeletons or specters all count as Phantasm. None of those are the same as a Phantasm. Phantasm is its own unique minion, therefore increasing them number does not increase the amount that you get from that. I made sure to grab Foresight, however, to get the extra maximum energy shield, as well as the just a flat energy shield from that. I made sure to grab Path of the Serpent for the increased spell damage. I made sure to grab increased potency of will because I want increased skill effect duration. So this will increase the effect duration of both of my offerings as well as the minions duration, which is important because they need to be able to stay. Oh crap! Take that out. They need to be able to stay alive as long as possible because I need them to do some extra damage on top of my damage. I'm head down through Shaper, grab the extra mana regen as well as life regen. I head through Constitution as well as picking up Path of Warrior for the increased global physical damage and extra strength. I made sure to grab the extra resist from down here as well as the armor increase to evasion and armor from Sentinel and in the flat resist from that. And then I grabbed exceptional performance. I wanted to again ensure the increased duration, so this gives us an extra large amount of skill duration. I made sure to grab Path of the Hunter because I need the increased projectile damage because Unearthed is a projectile, so it gets buffed from both spell damage as well as projectile damage, so I made sure to grab that. And then I also grabbed Harrier for the increased attack speed and cast speed, and then just grabbed a whole bunch of jewel sockets, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 jewel sockets in total. Now, I did augment these with Violent Dead. You can get different things, so different minion damage for these, so if you have your own. These aren't exactly necessary. However, I did just include these because it's just a flat minion damage increase, and that's just a basic way to look at what you would want to look for in terms of things with this build. And then as far as my Ascendancy choices as well as my Bandit, I chose Alira. I wanted the mana regen as well as the crit as well as the extra element resistance. And then as far as our Ascendancy, we're going to go, I had grabbed Commander of Darkness for the increased attack and cast speed as well as the increased damage. And I also wanted the extra elements of resistance from that. And then I made sure to grab Invoker, so the increased maximum life as well as increased damage, as well as my minions getting able to regenerate life and the quicker convocation cooldown recovery speed. And then grab Mistress of Sacrifice for the increased skill effect duration, as well as my offering skills affect me. And I also wanted the increased damage if I've consumed a corpse recently, so that's 40% increase, so it's really nice. And then I wrapped it up with Puppet Master, so I have increased movement speed, as well as increased minion duration, as well as the increased attack speed and minion damage if I've used the minion skill recently. So it's really nice. That's how I scaled up my Ascendancy as far as everything like that. So then when we head into items, as far as items go with this, again, Violent Dead, these are jewels you can work around with. If you have those, then it works. If not, just look for any gems with minion damage, you know, some spell damage, some cast speed, some defensive nodes if you need them, stuff like that. Anything like that will fill in perfectly for those. I use the Belt of the Zebra just because I have one. Like, because of the crafting, the beast crafting, I've been able to get a whole bunch of just rare belts and stuff like that. So I have it. It's here. It's not actually necessary for the build, but it's nice. It's increased physical damage, as well as reductions to extra damage from critical strikes, and just some flat life and flat element resistances is always nice, but it's actually not necessary in the build. However, I did grab Brown Rat's Ring, which I do recommend. This gives a large amount of increased spell damage, as well as giving me my golem spot. So that's always nice. I then grabbed the Victorious Acuity. This is just for increased projectile damage as well as speed, as well as my chance to gain power and frenzy charges, which is important for the spell damage I need. I then grab Brown Rot's Whalers, so I get the increased physical damage as well as the extra projectile damage. It makes me unaffected by shock to ground. I grabbed an Bestiary Splendor. It's not actually necessary, but it's very nice for extra elemental resistances, as well as giving me flat life and mana gain on kill. So this just makes it really nice. It's also pretty easy to go with my build because I take energy shield armor and evasion. It's just a nice piece for that. It's not really expensive or anything like that. And then the last thing I got, which is the most expensive piece of gear in this, is the Scourge Terraclaw. This is extremely important to the build because both the life leech as well as the physical damage as well as the attack speed and the minions increase attack speed, and the most important part is the increases and reductions to minion damage also affect you. And 70% increased minion damage if you've hit recently. So this really buffs our build very strongly because we're taking so many minion damage nodes from both the tree as well as our Ascendancy. This makes us very strong in terms of everything we want to do. So then we're gonna run Unearthed, Spell Echo, Volley, Summon Phantasm on kill, minion damage, and added fire damage. This is still tentative. I'm still I'm getting ready to head through this build. I'm farming up some currency so I can buy all the unique items I need for it. And then I'm going to head in and try to get this build all set to go. But yeah, this is what it's going to look like probably. I'll be using Hatred, Blasphemy, Projectile Weakness. And then Flesh Offering. So Flesh Offering with Arcane Surge as well as increased duration and efficacy. Again, Unearthed is a spell, so Arcane Surge is useful in this. You get the Summon Spectral Wolf skill from Scourge Terraclaw. So that's just an extra. I'll be using Shield Charge for my Fortify. This gives me the movement around this map as well as giving me Fortify because I have to be pretty close range and I definitely don't want to kill myself. I'll be using a Lightning Golem in that ring for the increased attack speed and cast speed. And then I'll wrap it up with Cast When Damage Taken, Immortal Call, Spirit Offering, and Val Haste. Val Haste again for the attack speed. These are the correct levels and numbers. I'm running Spirit Offering with Cast When Damage Taken, just for the extra chaos, granting energy shield as well as chaos damage and element resistance. So basically, if I get hit really, really hard, then I'll start having a nice amount of energy shield regen as well as the extra resistances to help me out. And then I'll be able to switch back to Flesh Offering, to go back to doing damage and stuff like that. So this is how my tentative build looks right now. Again, this is all theory right now. I haven't actually gotten to this build. I still need to farm up a little bit because I need to be able to buy my Scourge Claw. But yeah, this is what I'm looking forward to playing as far as this build. This will be one of my next builds. I have a couple other ones, and I'll get to those later in the week. But yeah, this is what I'm looking forward to. So I hope you guys be sure to subscribe to my channel. I hope to start streaming Path of Exile soon, as well as some other games. You can head over to twitch.tv/Nuie if you want to check me out and whatever I'm doing. But yeah, this is what I'm checking out, and this is what I'm thinking about. So thanks everybody for your time. Be sure to leave your thoughts or comments in the comments below. I would love to check them out. And if you guys have any other builds that you guys are thinking about or skills you want to work out with, I will definitely give my own spin off of them. So be sure to comment those below. But I'll catch you all later. Nuie out.